Go on. Hi, my name is Bill Tarrant. I'm a paramedic. I've been a paramedic licensed in the state of Michigan for 26 years. I also teach through some of the area colleges for paramedicine and some of the doctor and nurses programs required for the hospital by the American Heart for advanced pediatric life support, advanced cardiac life support. I got 3 questions. The first one is, do you feel that people are on too many prescription medicines? We see more and more that multiple patients are going to different physicians, and they're getting different drugs prescribed by every different physician. This can run into a problem with pharmacies as well, but often you have a cardiologist who prescribes you medication, an endocrinologist who's treating your blood pressure also because you're also diabetic, cardiologist, primary care physician. So we see a lot of different prescription medicines being given to the same patients, and the physicians don't truly realize all the medicines that the other patient or the patient's on by other physicians. Second question is, have you seen an increase in the amount of people that you transport having side effects and interactions to prescription drugs? The biggest one that we see for side effects is any of your narcotics, Ultram, anything, the side effects of those drugs aren't often anticipated, and as we get elderly, we can't handle those side effects very well. We also see a strong side effect to beta blockers. More and more people are put on blood pressure medications earlier in life. We don't allow the hypertension to progress too far, so the whole side effects from those prescription drugs we are seeing an increase with. The last question, when you find out a prescription drug history from a patient or family, do you see an increased trend in patients being overly medicated unnecessarily? And I really can't comment whether it's unnecessary. I mean, a physician prescribed the drug, they have a condition that they were given the drug for, and they're being treated for something. But the biggest danger that we see is with all these physicians prescribing the drugs for a lot of time the same criteria, and then the patients taking them to different pharmacies. In northern Michigan here, you could have a primary care here in Houghton Lake. By the time you go to see a specialist for your endocrinologist, you could be going to Cadillac. Well, you probably like the pharmacy over there just a little bit better than the one you like here. And then by the time you see your cardiologist, that may be down in up in Traverse City, maybe up at Petoskey. You've got 3 or 4 different pharmacies working. They're not connected. Your physicians are just getting the list that you wrote down, and if you missed a medicine, oftentimes you're prescribed more medicines, or you have multiple medicines that are competing with each other or doing the same job, and that seems to be where many of the side effects are coming from. I actually found another question on the back, and it says, please explain any alarming trends you have noticed as a paramedic in the last several years. And that's broken down into 2 parts. The first part we hear about on commercials, and that's people not getting rid of the prescription medicines when they're done, and then kids getting a hold of them and abusing them. They don't need to find a drug dealer. It was a great commercial they did on television. You know, I don't need to be your kid's drug dealer. You already are. Everything's in your medicine cabinet. We get medicines, we don't use them all, so we save them at another time. And that poses a second problem as well. Many of the things that we see with the emerging communicable diseases and emerging diseases and death is because people aren't using and treating with their antibiotics. They're not treating the diseases or the bacteria that they're being prescribed for appropriately, and they stop their prescription too early. What ends up happening is you start feeling better after about 3 or 4 days of taking your prescription drug, but you're given 7 to 10 days worth. At that point, your body's starting to build up a resistance to it. You think the prescription worked, you stop taking it, and what actually happens is you've just built up a very good resistance to the bacteria that was in there. You're starting to get a stranglehold on it, and it becomes resistant to that drug because you don't completely eradicate it. And we've seen lots of drugs out there. We hear lots about, lots of diseases out there. We hear about MRSA strongly. It's methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. And what that tells us is it's resistant to methicillin because over and over again people aren't using their drugs. They're not completing the whole regimen and taking care of everything so it can't be communicated onto somebody else.